Okay, good day, my friends. My name is Tracy Repchuk, and I'm the host of Reach Millions TV, an entrepreneurial lifestyle and learning channel where I educate and introduce you to some of the greatest powerhouses in their fields. As an entrepreneur for over 37 years, I've had the good fortune to appear on Forbes over 27 times, speak in 39 countries, appeared on NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, won awards from the Senate, the Assembly, the White House, and President Obama, written 9 #1 international bestsellers, and along that journey, I reached millions with my message. So I wanted to show you with specialized trainings and introduce you to the people that can help you find more leads, make more sales, and reach millions with your message. You can find out more about me at tracyrepchuk.com and reachmillionsacademy.com. Now, today I am joined by a 7-figure powerhouse business coach with an MBA from College School of Management, a person I have known for many years and admire, Monica Shaw. Now, Monica shows entrepreneurs with a focus on women how to really handle your money in simple, practical ways that lead to more freedom, meaning, and impact. Monica, welcome to the show.
I'm so excited to be here. Yay.
Hey, I know. And this is one of my favorite topics because as you have known for a very long time, it is an issue, I think, primarily with women, but in general, almost society. It's kind of thrust upon men to learn it rapidly, but really, oftentimes women are put in the background when it comes to understanding money and how to really manage it, control it, love it, use it, those types of things. So you mentioned what makes your work different is that you're not afraid to give really specific tools and talk about the deep seeds of why we have money blocks. So take us on a journey of some typical money blocks and some tools you recommend.
Sure. So I think one of the first things to understand is that there are 2 major taboos in our society, and they are sex and money. And we end up talking more about sex than we do about money, whether we want to admit that or not. And I hold that if we talked more about money, we'd all be having better sex. I think that's the truth. So I think that's the first thing that we need to understand when we're talking about money blocks is that no one taught you to do this, right? We get into entrepreneurship and it's like we spend our whole lives not talking about money. You're not allowed to talk about money at the dinner table. You're not allowed to ask somebody how much they make. You're not allowed to ask for more allowance, right? When I'm typically in a room and I ask how many of you got in trouble when you were little for asking an inappropriate question, right? About money. Yeah. And like half the hands go up, right? Like half the hands go up. And then from that point onwards, you're shut down, right? Around not asking for money. Then you get into business and it's like one big bait and switch. Everyone tells you've got to look at your numbers every day. You've got to understand what's going on with your money. You've got to send invoices out. You've got to look at conversion rates and profit and loss statements and cash flow statements. And it's like, wait a minute, no one ever told me or taught me how to do this. Not only do I not know how to do this, I'm afraid to do this. And so I think that's the first thing is understanding that we all have a relationship with money and we all have money issues. And those money issues are around the fact that we're unaware of some of the beliefs that we might be holding. And one of the most common ones for women is I can have money or I can have love, right? I can have money, a lot of money, or I can be a good mother. I can be a good partner. I can be a good nurturer, but I can't have both because if I have both, then like it's impossible. It's impossible for me to have both. So one of the things that I think is so important when we're thinking about that is understanding that there is some reality in it, right? So if you're a young mom, right? I mean, not a young mom, a mother of young children, whether you're a young mom or not, doesn't matter, but a mother of young children. So you've got kids that are under the age of 7. They require a lot of attention. And so most likely at that time in your life, if you're choosing to be a stay-at-home mom or a primary caregiver, yeah, you're going to be busy and it might not be your empire building days. But that doesn't mean that after that time, you can't have it all. And that's really the only, when I talk to women, it's that feeling of, what will my partner think? What will my family think? And I think that is interesting to explore that for yourselves, and to even explore it quite literally, to talk to your partner about what it would mean to make more money for you, to talk to your family about what it would mean to make more money, so that you're not carrying those stories in your head. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure, again, if we even talk about rooting back to, money doesn't grow on trees, money is the root of all evil.
Yes.
There's so many almost accepted principles rooted in how we were raised and the things that are even said today in society, that instead of, like you say, examining them, we end up accepting them, and therefore all of our actions proceed along, lines that are, quite frankly, completely an untruth, right?
Right. I mean, for me, I had so many of these beliefs that when I started in business,
Me too.
I racked up $25,000 of debt because I thought that I was doing everything I needed to be doing in my business, but I didn't know how to make money because I was so afraid to look at it. So I remember I did everything I possibly could to make money. I sold stuff on eBay, and I did focus groups. I did the whole 9 yards, and I was always struggling with it. And then one day I got to this place where I had rented my apartment out for 7 days on Airbnb, and I got in the subway to get home, and I got out of the subway and I had 2 bags on one arm and 2 bags on another arm and a bag across my chest and this roller bag that I was carrying. And I realized that, and I'm walking up the subway stairs, and the bags are heavy and people are knocking the bags off, and I get to the top, and I picked this subway stop because there's an escalator and an elevator at this stop. And I look to the left, the escalator's closed. I look to the right, the elevator's closed. And I look in front of me, and there's 4 more flights of stairs to get to street level. And at that moment, I put my bags down, and I started to feel the tears come down. And then I did the unthinkable, which is that I sat on the subway floor. I sat down on the subway floor, which, you've hit rock bottom when you sit down on a New York subway floor. And there I was, like, crying, this like disheveled mess, and this pile of bags all around me, and people are walking straight by me and they're looking at me, but they're trying not to. And in that moment, I got really clear that I had to figure out how I was going to make money in my business, like how I was going to move beyond these beliefs that I had around not making money in my business, and how I was going to be able to finally make the difference I wanted to make, but also be able to pay my bills. And in that moment, I got clear that I was doing everything backwards to make money in my business. And I realized that there are, after spending I hired business coaches and marketing coaches. And after spending about a year figuring this out, I realized that there are 5 main steps to make money. And if you're not following those steps, chances are that you're going to be working twice as hard as you need to be and making half as much money as you could be making in your business. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we all need to be able to support ourselves and help people, right? And what I got clear on is, of those 5 steps, right? The first step is that you have to shift your relationship with money so that you don't have these crazy money beliefs. The second step is that you've got to focus on revenue generating activities so that you're actually doing things that make money. And the number one revenue generating activity is doing sales conversations. The third step is that you have to track your numbers, right? So that you know what you're doing and how well you're doing. And the first number that you're tracking is your revenue. And then the fourth step is to create a dynamic plan. And that is a plan where you're looking at your day, your week, your month, and your quarter, and you're really deciding what is the most important thing to do. And step number 5 is rinse and repeat, which means focus on the things that you're good at so that you can start to achieve excellence at the things that you do want to do. And what I got clear on is when you do those 5 steps, everything can shift for your business, everything. But and for me, it did. That's how we doubled or tripled our revenue. We got to over $1 million within and we doubled or tripled our revenue every single year. And then in 2013, we crossed $1 million, and we've been $1 million company ever since. And I think that the most important piece around all of it is helping other women do the same. Which is what we do today, by focusing on the things that matter, not working harder, but working less.
Nice. And so that moves me into the question based on what you actually said, because you said you plan your day, your week, your month. And again, I'm the same. We share a very similar philosophy. I have my clients always make sure there are money-making activities on their calendar, and you have your money-making calendar. So kind of describe that process for people.
So, the number one, people ask me all the time, right? What are the money-making activities, and how do I get more sales conversations? And ultimately, the number one money-making activity is having a sales conversation. It's it's making sure that you are having sales conversations every single week, at least 3 a week. Now, the next question I get is, well, how do I have that sales conversation, right? Like, where is that sales conversation coming from? And there are 9 major activities that I recommend to help people have more sales conversations. And the number one is speaking. And then there are others as well. And so I've created a money-making marketing calendar to be able to help you identify like to tell you what those 9 activities are, and then help you plan them into your schedule. So that's one of the tools that, after having, every time I did an interview, clients would write and be like, well, tell me what to do. Well, tell me what to do. So I and I put it into the money-making marketing calendar. You can pick it up at marketingcalendarnow.com. Marketingcalendarnow.com is the link to go pick that up. I highly recommend it. It makes things a lot clearer and easier to follow.
Very good. And I like that, because I also think, again, I have my clients put money-making activities in green on their calendar, right?
Yeah.
And so that when they have a glance at the calendar, if there's not a pile of green on there, like you say, like 3 times a week, there's going to be a problem in your income, and it's easily identified as to why. So yes, and so, let's take a look at the next element, which of course you've mentioned since 2013. You're $1 million businesswoman. I think less than 2% of businesswomen hit that market. What made the difference, and how far into your business did you start to apply what it was going to take?
What made the difference? I could say a lot of things, but I would say visibility is the main thing that people struggle with. I think that people stay so the number one thing I did, I think, is that I'm a full-on introvert, and I was very nervous about being on stages. And at the time that I was building my business, everybody that was a colleague of mine who had already crossed the $1 million mark was like a full-on extrovert, like loved being on stages, loved stages, performer, actor, musician background. And I didn't have any of them. And so it was terrifying for me to be out in front of people, but I did it anyway. And I not only did it, but I paid to do it, right? I paid for sponsorships. I paid for speaking events. I paid to get on various bigger stages with people. And it's interesting because to this day, those things that I paid for, people are still coming to me from those events, from the sponsorships that I paid for, from the places that I was on stage. So I find that a lot of entrepreneurs are playing it very safe. They're posting on social media to their 200 followers. They are doing a live and nobody's really showing up. And instead of investing in themselves to get visible in a major way. And I know that you teach this, right? And the work that you do with Reach Millions, right? And I when people ask like what I did, I invested.
Mhm.
I invested. I paid a hotel contract to do a 3-day event, and then I paid organizations to help me promote it, and then I paid for a business coach to show me how to sell. And those are things that I find. It's like people want the outcomes, but
Mhm.
they don't want to create. They don't want to take the risks.
Right.
And
Yeah.
and I took a lot of major risks in the development of my business. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's an important part to bring up because I was the same. I invested heavily in the beginning, especially in the beginning to, get yourself off that dime, get yourself kind of visible. And so same here, business coaches, speaking, all of those types of things that you're investing in yourself are key. And during that time too, I was incurring debt. And so a lot of times that was the proof, or that was the thing I'm asked, they get debt averse, right? Well, there's
Right.
difference between debt for something that you've consumed per se and is gone, and debt for something you've invested in yourself that you're now applying to create more income, more situation, more visibility, more what you need in your business. And again, when I started my company in 1985, I was like, whatever, 19 years old, right? It was $8,000 a month to be in the yellow pages. And if you were not in the yellow pages, you were dead. Nobody knew you, right? And so I had to learn very young that I needed to make that just to exist. And people, I think, today have it kind of so simple in that, you get a laptop and you open up a business, and now you go on a few social media platforms and you think that you're out there, you're visible, right? But I think it does take. I often encourage the investment in yourself, and frequently and often. And yes, you're going to hit some of those people that just don't pay off, right? We've all had a mentor that we've invested probably heavily in, and you're like, oh, shouldn't have done that. Well, that's okay. There's probably one gem in there, even if it's I shouldn't have done that, and listen to your gut or something, right? And move on. And so I like you mentioned the risk, because the risks are you're an introvert and you went on stage. I'm very similar. People don't think I'm an introvert. I am. I'm a tech geek. I graduated with a computer programming degree. I have another degree as a certified management accountant. Those are not extroverted activities, right?
Yeah.
But someone had to step up to the plate and make things happen. And that someone was me. I was looking at her in the mirror every day, right? So I had to, as you say, overcome. Now, well, one thing I will say is I love the stage, right? But get me off the stage and it's a whole nother thing. I am the same person as I am on and off, but in a way though, the introversion kicks in heavily when I'm surrounded, right? And so it's a funny thing from that perspective. Now, yeah, so you have a lot of, and I think we probably share this philosophy as well, which I loved when I was reading, deep spiritual, connections. You do mindset reframes that people can use kind of immediately. Give us an example of that.
Sure. So it's interesting because I was just working with a client who was struggling because for her, and it's a money piece, she wasn't allowed to receive money, like at all. Like we found that she was blocked around receiving money because if she received too much money, then she wouldn't be able to build and grow her business. And I find that a lot of people are blocked around receiving. So receiving support, receiving help, receiving money, receiving wisdom, receiving guidance. And it's something to check in with yourself on. A lot of it is learned. We have parents who are saying, who don't receive, right? We've got moms who were super moms. And then on the other hand, there's a lot of also spiritual healers that are taught and that kind of come into this world with the belief that you have to do everything on your own, and that if you receive too much money, it's bad, right? It's not spiritually wise. So I say those things because if you're watching, you want to start to identify, am I somebody that's blocked around receiving? Because if you are, it doesn't matter how much money you're making, right? You won't, it'll always either go out the door, you won't be able to keep it, or something will happen in the making of it because you're not programmed to receive. So one of the things that we did with her is we first just looked at it. You know, I work with people on various levels. I'm very woo-woo and I am strategic at the same time, but I looked at her past life experiences and we released a contract that she had around not being allowed to receive money, not being allowed to accumulate wealth. So we released that. And then we also downloaded the belief that the more money that she received, the more love she would receive. The more money that she received, the more good she would do. The more money she received, the more she could change the world. And that really started to shift her belief system around it.
I think you hit a very real point. Again, I have been around a lot of spiritually minded people as well. And they're almost also trained to just give, keep giving, and karma and life, and that will, return for you. But a lot of times running a business takes money, right? There is the marketing and the website and the emails and all of the infrastructure that needs to go into place to really, grow and scale, as you talk about. And they're restricted in the way that they really feel like they are going against a spiritual kind of practice to bring in money, or if they're the givers or a nonprofit even, man, attract all the money you can, because as you say, you're just going to put it to good use.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's a huge belief shift to really remembering that a belief is a decision and you have to just keep making that decision, right? So most of our beliefs are subconscious decisions, but we can shift that and we can start to make them conscious decisions. So you can decide the more money I have, the more good I do. Right? The more money I have, the more beautiful things I put into the world. The more money I have, the more love I receive, right? You can start to, all it takes is just deciding and redeciding those decisions every single day.
Totally agreed. Exactly. It's just, as you say, a reframe, right? I say that actually to my clients too about selling, right? Selling isn't selling, it's being of service and educating somebody on what it is that you do that will help them to achieve what they need to do, right? And when you reframe and understand that, it's a disservice to not let people know what you do, that's when you start to really understand that sales isn't this monster, where someone's trying to ram something down your throat that you don't need. It's really the exact opposite. It's a help cycle, right? Yeah, very cool. All right. So one more thing I wanted to find out about here that I read and I thought it was very interesting. And you have a belief that every woman should have a bank account with her name on it and know how to fill it with the money she needs to live the life that she wants. So again, first, I can't imagine not having your own bank account, right? I opened up my first bank account at the age of 8. I did the same with my kids. I invested in my first RRSP at the age of 18. I got a financial advisor at the age of 20. Again, probably why I turned out to be, a programming accountant, right? I was like, and what's funny is my parents were the opposite, right? I don't know if I looked at them and said, well, okay, they don't know, they don't even have RSPs. They don't even know what this is. I'm going to do something else. I don't know where that all came from. So when did you realize though, that this was a major issue for women? And is this to the mindset value?
Yeah, I do think so. It's interesting. Not all. So I love that you started so young. I think it's so inspiring and tells a lot about who you are. But what's interesting is that there are still women that don't have bank accounts with their names on them, or they have a bank account that's a shared bank account, and they don't feel their name's on it, but they don't feel very in charge of it. I mean, just last week I was talking to a woman, and I think this happens to a lot of women. Is you get married or are in partnership, and then you have children, And then you become the caretaker of the children, and you have a partner who becomes the financial person who's like bringing home either the majority of the money or all of the money. And then in that sort of transaction, you lose money power, right? Like it becomes like you feel guilty for everything that you're spending. You have to ask permission for all of your expenditures. The bank account might have your name on it, but you don't feel empowered to use the money in it. And I talk to women every single day who are in that position, even if prior to having kids, they were very, very powerful with their money. Maybe they have high powered jobs. Maybe they filled that bank account to begin with, but suddenly their money power is taken away. And so there's really two parts to that. One is having a bank account with your name on it that you feel empowered to spend in any way that you want to spend it. And number two, knowing how to fill it. And I think that's also a big deal, is that many women have lost their money power. Either because they've been out of the game for a while of making money, or because they just they don't know how to do it, right? They've always felt like they've taken less than they deserve, or have been living paycheck to paycheck. And I think it's one of the beauties of entrepreneurship is that it is a equal opportunity thing, meaning anybody can be an entrepreneur. Anybody can learn how to make money successfully. Anybody can learn how to accumulate money. You don't have to have an MBA. You don't have to have, accounting. You don't have to have a degree. You just have to learn. You have to learn how to run a business, but anyone can learn it. And that's what I love about entrepreneurship, and what I do with my clients is that we can bring the money power back by having you start and really taking your business seriously, right? Moving it from a hobby where you're bringing in, $5,000, $10,000, a year, to moving it to a full-time income where you're bringing $40,000 to $60,000 in at a minimum a year, is all a learned skill. And when you do that, you suddenly have your money power back. And I think that changes things for so many women.
Agreed. And you know what I really love about today in the marketplace that we're in is because of the internet, women can be at home, be the mom, and run and do a business, right? They can do eBay, they can do Amazon, they can run a practice, right? They can run a coaching program all from home while the kids are in school. There's so much power they have, as we see now with the young influencers, right? They can just start recommending or putting on beauty tips, and all of a sudden they have $1 million business.
Yeah.
Which I love. I love the opportunities that are out there for then women in particular to make choices about money in particular, right? To say, hey, I can earn my own money. Yeah, I'm taking care of the kids, but guess what? I'm gonna learn, as you say, it's a learned skill. I'm going to learn how to do whatever, Amazon, and then I'm going to, earn some of my own money while my husband is working too. It's just, I think, quite an amazing time that we are in, despite the pandemic, of course, derailing a lot of things that have gone on.
Yeah.
But that comes too with being an entrepreneur, like you have said too. You've been one a long time, as have I. You have to be ready and prepared to weather things like this. I've been through what I'd call 3 recessions, and this being the worst of them all, simply because of the length. But they're going to happen, and it'll happen again, right? So be ready. Have that.
It's all about shaping a business that will go no matter what. Right. That's what I think is important. Yeah.
Agreed. Well, Monica, I really want to thank you for being here today on Reach Millions TV and sharing your amazing story and your insights with our followers. So what is the best way for viewers to connect and continue the conversation with you?
I think the first is to pick up my money making marketing calendar. You can, that again has the 9 revenue generating activities on it. And that lead to a sales conversation. So it'll help you figure out how you can really take your income up. And you can get that at marketingcalendarnow.com, marketingcalendarnow.com. And then if you would like to reach out to us, maybe you would like some support around your business or your money beliefs, you can reach out to us at support@revenuebreakthrough.com, support@revenuebreakthrough.com. And I
Awesome.
also just recommend everybody to hop into our Facebook group. It's at Revenue Breakthrough, revenuebreakthrough.com/FB group. Because I do 2 videos a week there. There's over around 3,000 entrepreneurs in that group right now. So it's a great place to network and connect with people and really stay up on the things that are going on and will affect you in how you do business.
Well, fantastic. Great ways to get in touch with you. Again, be sure to connect with Monica Shaw, and to help you reach millions, be sure to grab my free gifts and resources at jointracy.com. Stay tuned to this channel for more exciting episodes of Reach Millions TV here on the Live in the Hive broadcast network. Until next time, I'm Tracy Repchuk, and here's to your continued success.